Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report, the first on the official, or one of the official, I'm not sure if there's multiple, one of the official mats by Atomic Mass Games for the game itself. You can actually see the logo over there. It's a little bit more vibrant and colourful than the usual mats seen on this channel for the Crisis Protocol Battle Reports we've done so far and the other games. Not too sure on the green colour, but if nothing else it does make it look like an actual town, which I quite like. So anyway, we're going to see a Avengers team going up against a Cabal team today with, I believe, 20 threat on offer, missions already been set up, etc. So now, without further ado, also actually before we get started, just a reminder, hope you're all staying safe. This is a perfect time to be getting into painting your miniatures if you haven't been. There's plenty of solo games you could be looking at as well, like Wasteland Warfare for instance. There's plenty to be doing and to distract you during this troubled time. With that, let's go look at the teams. So the Avengers affiliation is, as you can see here, Captain America, The Vision, Winter Soldier, who counts as Avengers for the purposes of creating an affiliation. Then we have Thor, who is also an Avenger, and then just tagging along to cause trouble is his brother Loki, and the tactics card you can see here: Thunderwave, Sibling Rivalry, Seeing Red, Field Dressing, and Till the End of the Line. And the villainous Cabal with a couple of hangers on are as follows, also 5 miniatures. Red Skull, we have Baron Zemo, we have Crossbones, and then guest starring Murdoch and also Hela. And the tactics cards for this side are Dark Reign, Inspiring Monologue, Brace for Impact, Recalibration Matrix, and Psychic Fortress. So conveniently, both the objectives that we'll be playing today have been stopped by this traffic light here, so that gives us time to read them before they move away. So the secure objective is Deadly Meteor mutates civilians, and the extraction is alien ship crashes in downtown. So this is the one where you've got to find the Kree power core, hold on to it, and if you don't attack you get hurt. This is the one where there's a bunch of origin bombs and you have to hold them, you have to roll to claim them, and depending on how many enemies are nearby it's harder to claim them. If you get any skulls you can damage yourself for 1, but you score 3 victory points for every origin bomb you hold. Now the interesting thing here is that both use map C for deployment, so that means the rubble and the origin bombs are right next to each other. Now the rubble will disappear once the Kree power core has been found, but until that happens everybody's going to the same 3 places. So with that we're going to get set up for deployment and then cover the start of the match. So everything is set up and power has been drawn for the first turn. Remember, all the Asgardians present get 2, but anyway, the Cabal up to the line here. There's Hela, there's Crossbones and Red Skull. The Avengers are all the way over this side of the table, of course, deployed just beyond, or touching range 3. Loki and Thor next to each other. Vision all on his lonesome over there, and it will be the Avengers going first as we jump into battle round 1. So Thor was the first to activate for the Avengers side, and he and Loki both played 1 power to play the adorable and silly Sibling Rivalry to get the things started. So, if Prince of Asgard is within 2 of Loki, God of Mischief, both may spend 1 to play this card. Throw the allied Loki medium. There is some additional stuff where he doesn't take contact damage, and if you hit someone they get fewer dice, but this was used to get Loki into better position for his range 4, forcing people to spend +1 power on superpowers. So Loki got chucked there. He'll still get a turn as normal, that just gives him a medium move for free essentially. Then Thor did 2 moves and then spent his 1 remaining power to search the rubble, and that brought back visceral, horrible memories, because it's been a while since we've done the Kree Power Core mission, and if I remember rightly it was turn 4, or maybe towards the end of turn 3, that someone successfully rolled a crit on 2 dice. Thor tried and Thor failed. So with that, over to the Cabal's first activation. So the first activation for the Cabal was Baron Zemo. He moved up like 1.5 move, like 1 long put him like there, but he wanted to get into a better position. He did not spend his 1 power on searching the rubble pile, he spent his 1 power on claiming the origin bomb, which is you roll equal to your energy defense, you get a number of crits, hits and wilds. I believe it's crits, yeah. That's greater than the number of enemies around, which is 0 right now, so you just need to get 1. You claim it, so that origin bomb is now Hydra/Cabal controlled. I guess he's going for the long con. Back over to the Avengers. Vision activated next, and just for his activation, move forward 2 mediums, to get him where you can see him, and he also chose to play conservatively, spent his 1 power to claim the Origin Bomb for the Avengers there rather than search the rubble for the Kree Power Core. Back over to the Cabal. Oh, actually there is one additional thing. He picked his phasing, which makes him be better at energy defense, which in turn made it really easy to get the Origin Bomb. So yeah, he's defending against energy right now. So Red Skull was the next to activate. He tapped the power of the cube for 3 power, did not hurt himself on the dice roll afterwards, which is 1 action. He also just did a medium move for his next action where you can see him. Prior to that though, he then spent those 3 power to give Crossbones a free 2 move, teleporting him with the power of the cube just to get him closer to potentially cause Vision some issues. So Bucky, Captain Bucky O'Hare was the next to activate. Not really. You know, Bucky Barnes. Still, he activated, he moved medium, and then he took a shot with his assault rifle at Baron Zemo. He managed to do 1 damage, didn't get a wild for the bleed to proc however, but generated himself, and Baron Zemo won. It would have done 2, but the Strategic Genius reroll protected him. Now back over to either Hela, MODOK or Crossbones. Crossbones activated, and despite Red Skull teleporting him forwards range 2, his small movement meant that he couldn't get within 2 to hit Vision while his physical defense is bad. So instead he just moved small again to get in position. Rather than try and steal the Origin Bomb, he searched the rubble pile for the Kree Power Core, and on 2 dice did not roll 1 crit, of course. Captain America activated, and for his turn he just moved up medium twice. He spent his 1 power to search for the Kree Power Core in the rubble there. Did he find it? Of course he did not. So again, just need to roll 1 crit on 2 dice, and did not do it. Hela activated and has moved up medium to where you can see her, and then she spent her 2 power on Claim Soul to claim Thor's soul. It got through his somewhat paltry Mystic Defense for 2 damage, and because it dealt damage that gave her 1 captured soul token, and obviously Thor's been a little bit wounded. So now it's Loki to end off the turn for the Avengers, and then back over to MODOK to end off the turn proper. So the God of Mischief's options were somewhat limited. He just did a double move because he was out of range. If he only did 1 move of using his Ice Blast despite being thrown at the start. It did however put him nicely in the middle of the map to create that range 4 bubble of annoyance for making powers cost more going forwards. So he spent his 1 power on claiming the Origin Bomb in the middle for the Avengers, and that because it looks like no one's going to be able to contest that. So now it's over to MODOK to end the turn. And so the mighty MODOK just moved up small once, and then he did a Psionic Blast on poor Captain America, who does not have good Mystic Defense, and it did a whopping, I guess, considering he has not that great HP, 3 damage on him. Doesn't stun him or anything like that, but it's quite a bit of damage done, and that does take us to the recap for the first turn. So because of the continued curse that haunts this table and any game played on it, neither team scores anything for finding the Kree Power Core because nobody found it, and that was 4 attempts? 4 attempts out of 10 models on the table, I guess isn't as terrible as it was last time this mission was played, but it's still pretty bad. Origin Bomb wise, the Avengers hold the leftmost one, they hold the centremost one, that is 6 victory points, 3 each, and then the Cabal have the one over there for 3. So as we go into battle round 2 with the Avengers going first again, 6 plays 3, let's generate some power. So to get battle round 2 started, the Winter Soldier was the first to activate. He moved forwards medium, and then he and Captain America played till the end of the line. Winter Soldier and Captain America may both spend 2 power to play this card whilst within 1 of each other, which they are. This round, they cannot be moved by enemy effects and combine their defense when creating a defense pool for physical and energy. Doesn't help against MODOK's Mystic, but against Baron Zemo, it basically means they're creating a defense pool of 8, I think? 7 or 8 dice, which is pretty outstanding. More if Captain America decides to Vibranium Shield. To help protect them both, he spent a power to try and search the pile of rubble, found nothing. Then he shot at Baron Zemo, got the wild to get the bleed through on him, but did no damage. First activation for the Cabal was Red Skull himself. He moved up medium, then he used a Cosmic Blast. Is that what it was called? Yeah, Cosmic Blast, the 1 power energy attack on Vision, who has buffed his physical defense this turn because of Crossbones being there. So only had 2 defense dice. Still did okay, blocked 1 of the damage, took 2. Red Skull also sapped 1 power from him, and also then spent 1 power of his own to claim the Origin Bomb there. He beat what was required for Vision standing there. Back over to the Avengers. So we're staying over here because Vision activated next, and he had a busy turn, but it wasn't really an effective turn. So he started with a superpower, Calculated Trajectory, which cost 1 less thanks to a day like any other, which is just it's a throw. So he threw Crossbones at this container to get him out of range of the Origin Bomb, did 1 damage, Crossbones just took it, and then, again, he hasn't done any actions yet, he spent a power to try and change the Origin Bomb back to Avengers, only rolling 2 dice because his density is in physical. Failed. So then he did Synthesis for 2 power as one of his actions. He tried to find the Origin Bomb for 1 power and failed. Then he shot a Solar Beam, which is a beam, so he shot it there. It hit both Red Skull and Crossbones. Red Skull took an impressive 3 damage. Crossbones, impressively, just as equally, took none. So despite only having 2 dice on his energy defense, he did a really good defense roll, so the only damage he took was from the throw. But the Origin Bomb is still under Hydra control, and he still couldn't find the Kree power core. So we'll cover Hela's activation in a second. However, a quick correction, looking over the missions, the Origin Bombs are not worth 3 victory points each. I was confusing that with a DC Universe / Marvel Universe objective type. It's 3 victory points to whomever controls the most Origin Bombs. So that was the Avengers. So the score currently is actually 3-0, not 6-3. Effectively it's the exact same, but it does mean it's going to be a slower match until such time as the Kree power core is also in play. So anyway, Hela moved up medium, and then she did a Hellforged Blade attack on Loki. Sorry for it being on the cards, just so it's easier to pick up once we're done talking about it. 2 damage plus a bleed effect done to him, and that generates her power as well, and she can't quite get around close enough to the rubble pile to do anything, but she did indeed hurt Loki. So Captain America was the next to activate. He spent 2 power, 1 to search the rubble, didn't find anything, 1 to try and turn the Origin Bomb to Avengers affiliation, and that did succeed. Then, for lack of anything better to do, he just chucked his shield at Baron Zemo twice. All said and done though, it did 4 damage, and that was actually enough to daze him, which for 1 generates Hela a captured soul token, but 2 also means Zemo will not be getting a turn this battle round, and the bleed effect no longer matters. So he is down and out, back over to MODOK or Crossbones. So Mr. Crossbones was the next to activate. He had to move in small to get back in range to do anything, spent a power to search the rubble pile, and found nothing. Also, just a reminder, this is not to keep the meme going or anything like that, it's just literally no crits on 2 dice for however many attempts across this game so far. Then he did a normal strike, whatever it's called for Crossbones, it is just a normal strike. He did really well, he got 5 damage, and Vision is in the dense form, so he has 5 defense dice, and blocked 5, so nothing was done there. So now it's the Asgardians on the Avengers side to pick between them of who goes next. So Thor activated, and first of all he searched the rubble for 1 power and did not find the core. Then he flew medium across the building, landed there, spent 2 power instead of 3 because of a day like any other, to throw MODOK medium. He can throw up to size 4, MODOK is size 4, threw him into the lamppost for 1 damage, and basically just trying to keep him away from the Origin Bombs, because it's now over to MODOK to end the turn for the Cabal. So MODOK activated him because of Captain America and Bucky protecting themselves so much against his Doomsday Chair, because Doomsday Chair is physical, and because he got thrown backwards. He wasn't sure what to do, so he attacked Thor instead. Ready to do 2 blasts. 1 was enough, it did an astonishing 5 damage, it only needed to do 3. So Thor actually is dazed, so because he had another action and nothing to do with, he just moved forward small to where you can see him right there. So yeah, Thor will be flipping his card over, he'd already activated, so it doesn't change anything. It's over to Loki to end off the battle round, and that does mean when we go to battle round 3, it'll be the Cabal going first. So Loki actually had a very effective turn. He played superpower for 1 less I am a god to let him count blanks in attack or defense rolls, obviously choosing attack. Then he did illusions on Hela and managed to do 3 damage. Then, because he spent all his power on trying to do a big hit, he just did a basic strike, but that did really, really well, and her defense roll against it, despite having 4 dice, was very bad. That also did 3 damage, so it stunned her. Now she's sitting on 3 captured soul tokens because Thor went down, but she can't resurrect until she's on her wounded side, so she is flipping her card, along with Thor, Zemo, I think that's it. But we'll be back in a second to tally the points. So because the Kree power core still is not in play, it just comes down to who has majority of the Origin Bombs, and the Avengers do, so that's another 3 points, so 6 is playing 0. However, forgot to mention, Loki forgot that he was bleeding profusely from a sword wound, so that is still on, and he took 1 damage from that, so there's 3 damage sitting on him in total. And because the Avengers had last activation, it's now the Cabal going first as we go into battle round 3. So to get Battle Round 3 started, Hela was the first to activate this time, and from where she was standing she did a Rain of Hell, which is a 7 physical attack, and if the person she's attacking is bleeding, which Loki was, Loki doesn't get to count wilds as successes for his defense. It did 4 damage, it only needed to do 2. Loki is dazed. I guess we can move the dazed token there now, because he doesn't count as being on the table. Hela moved and then spent 2 power, 1 to interact with both. Did not find the Kree Power Core, but did change that Origin Bomb to CAbal affiliation. So the first Avenger to activate was Vision, and he's just not been having any luck this time. He synthesized, or used synthesis rather, to give himself 2 power, so he could do everything he wanted. Then he did Synthesized Avenger on Red Skull, hoping to do the 3 damage required to stun him. Red Skull did absolutely amazing with his defense roll, so all said and done it did 1 physical damage, which is pretty embarrassing. He then checked the Kree Power Core, thinking that was the better option because he's currently defending against physical, and did not find the core. So Baron Zemo activated next. He stayed where he was, and first of all he steel rushed Captain America. For 3 damage he needed to do 2, so Cap is dazed. Hela already has 3 soul tokens, so she isn't generating any more yet until she's spent them. Then he just did another steel rush for 2 power both times, or 3, forgotten now, on Bucky. Bucky did really well with his defense roll and took nothing, so then he just spent 2 power, 1 to search the rubble, no he didn't find the core, and 1 to convert this Origin Bomb, and that did succeed. So now Hydra / the CAbal own all 3 Origin Bombs. So the next activate was Bucky, and he just stayed where he was, shot his assault rifle at Baron Zemo twice, did 1 damage each time, giving him 1 power each time. The bleed went through thanks to a wild, and then he spent 2 power, 1 to search the rubble, didn't find anything, 1 to convert the Origin Bomb, and he failed that as well. Had to beat 1 because Baron Zemo was there unconscious. So it's still under Hydra control. That also means that either MODOK, Red Skull or Crossbones get to go, and then it's just Thor left for the Avengers because everyone's getting knocked out. So the Red Skull activated next to take advantage of the fact that Vision is currently defending against physical and doesn't have enough power to shift densities. So he did his big blast, his Unleash the Cube, and that actually did appallingly. I think only like 3 damage was coming through, and on 2 dice thanks to a crit, Vision was able to defend against it. Then he just did the basic 1 power Cosmic Blast. That did 4, it needed to do 3 I think. No, actually no, it did exactly enough, it needed to do 4. So Vision is dazed and will be flipping over. So now it's over to Thor to end the turn for the Avengers with still 2 more CAbal to go. So Thor did indeed activate, and he did for Asgard, which is a charge followed by a normal strike on Baron Zemo. He did 3 damage, which was actually enough to take Baron Zemo out, and he was already on his bad side, so he has been removed from the game, thanks to that 3 damage. Then he spent 4 power. He had a lot of power because he got dazed, remember, so he's built up a lot of damage. He spent 4 to give Captain America a second chance. Within 2, a dazed ally, spend 4 to play it, remove the dazed token, and 1 damage. So Captain America's back. He might get a turn unless MODOK takes him out. Then Thor also spent 1 power on a hammer throw, smacked MODOK just for 1 damage and also the shock effect. Then spent 1 power to search the rubble, did not search it, or not successfully find the power core, but did however change the Origin Bomb back to Avengers affiliation, although CAbal still have majority. So now either MODOK or Crossbones get to go, but assuming Captain America doesn't go down, he will get a turn. So MODOK activated, and his first action was to move himself right on at home, surrounded by Avenger enemies. Remember, he's shocked, so any attack he does has 1 less attack dice, but he Doomsday Chaired Captain America, who did do Vibranium Shield to try and stay conscious. Of course, it did 1 damage, which was enough to re-daze him, so he will not be getting a turn. He then did the follow-up Doomsday attack, which is for free on a different person, on Bucky, did 1 damage to Bucky, then spent 2 power to search the rubble, try and change the Origin Bomb, and achieved neither. So now it's just Crossbones, and is there really anything he can do? Back in a second. So the only thing for Crossbones to do, because Vision is unconscious, is to search the rubble. He spent 1 power to do it, and I am not kidding, did not find the power core. All these searches, not a single... Let's just... I did this on camera last time. Like, how many times does it take rolling 2 dice to get 1 crit? That's 2. That's 3. 4. 5. This is why I can't play 40k. There you go. What was that? That was 7. So technically it should have happened by now, but it didn't. Anyway, that takes us to the end of the battle round. So there isn't much to cover as we go into battle round 4 because the Kree Power Core isn't found, so it just goes straight down to Origin Bomb majority, and the CAbal have it this time, so they are on the board. The Avengers score does not move. It's going to be one of the lowest scoring matches ever. 6 plays 3. Let's see, Crossbones went last and they went first, so it's the Avengers going first in battle round 4. Vision activated and he finally had a good turn, and your eyes do not deceive you. So anyway, first of all he fired a solar beam at Red Skull, did a massive 5 damage, although only needed to do 2. So the Red Skull will not be getting an activation, he is dazed, and that also sapped 2 power. He then searched for the Kree core and he found it. So not exactly the ideal place for it to be, but it is now on Vision's card. He then also fired a solar beam at Crossbones, and that one did nothing, he whiffed. Also he did try and change the Origin Bomb, and he is in his energy density. That means he was rolling 5 dice, 4 of them were blanks, so he didn't change the Origin Bomb, which is bad, but he's got the core over to the Cabal. So Crossbones activated with one intent in mind, destroy Vision so he can get the Kree power core off him. He did overpower for 2, and then he did a normal strike. The overpower whiffed, however the strike managed to do 2 damage to him, but that was it. So Vision has 4 HP left on his wounded side, I believe. And with that, over to the Avengers. Thor Odin's Son was the next to activate. So first action was a move up onto the building here, then his second was, well, 3 power down to 2 to do a for Asgard, which is a charge and a strike. So he landed right there, struck Hela, didn't do any damage with the strike but did get wild, so he could throw her small, threw her into the car for 1 damage. Then he spent 1 remaining power to convert this Origin Bomb, and he got away with it because everyone's out of range, so that has been converted to Avenger affiliation. So apologies if you hear a dog barking in the background, that is not my dog, it's a dog outside. Hela activated, and we had to retcon one thing, because now that Loki's on his wounded side, his aura is actually even more annoying for the enemy. It isn't just that they have to pay more to do superpowers, it now also means that crits do not generate additional rolls for them, which is really, really potent, and it's still range 4, and range 4 is pretty big. So Hela stayed where she was. She did Reign of Hell on Loki, smacked him for 3 damage, which is pretty nasty. Then, in order to just try and follow up and get rid of him, she tried a Claim Soul, and that did not get through his pretty good Mystic defense. But he is hurt, he is going to get a turn, and she did not try and go in for the Origin Bomb. Oh sorry, and also when she did Reign of Hell, it exploded. So anything within range 2 takes 1 damage, so Thor also took 1 damage from the blast. So we're staying in the middle of the table because Loki activated and stayed where he was. He did I Am a God to let him count blanks on his attacks. Then he did a Mesmerize on Hela. It would have killed her, however she had 3 soul tokens. I think it did 3 damage when she had 1 or 2 on her already. She had 3 soul tokens on her though, however, so she absorbs those and all damage is removed. On her wounded side she only has 4 HP though, so she's back to 4. So he followed that up with a Frost Blast, which did 2 damage, so she's back on half health on her wounded side, and also she is slowed, which I believe just means you can't do more than 1 move action offhand. We'll double check if it's relevant. So now it has to be MODOK to activate, and then Cap and Bucky get to do what they want. So MODOK has had his turn, and that was a really busy turn, so let's go through this piece by piece. First of all, to get out of the way, he did try and change the Origin Bomb and succeeded, but that was not before he did a Psionic Blast on Bucky, because Bucky's mental defense, because of, you know, the whole being reprogrammed to be a communist assassin, means he only had 2 defense dice. It did 5 damage and dazed him. At that point, Captain America paid to play Seeing Red, which is basically if someone gets downed within 2 of you, you spend 3 and you do a free attack. So he did a free strike on MODOK and did 5. So he equally hit him back. It was a really, really good roll. Then MODOK spent power to force Captain America to move small and moved him there. Then shot a Psionic Blast at him because he hadn't actually done a second action. And that did really well because Captain America is not that great against psionic defense. He took 4 damage, so he has been pretty badly hurt. Bucky is not getting a turn, but it is over to Captain America himself to end off the battle round. So for Cap's turn, he had to use one of his actions to move back in. That's why MODOK used his superpower to force him away. MODOK was out of range of Loki, making it cost more incidentally. So he moved back into range. He spent a power to change the Origin Bomb and succeeded, so it's back to Avengers, so they'll have majority this turn. Then he spent 3 on Shield Slam, only did 1 damage to MODOK, who's sitting on a lot of power now, and I think he has like 2 HP left on his healthy side, so that's kind of nasty, because it does mean that the Cabal will be going first next round too. So at the end of that battle round, the Avengers hold majority of the Origin Bombs for 3 victory points, and finally the Kree Power Core has come into play for 2 victory points, giving them a 5-point swing against 0, putting the score at 11 to the Avengers, 3 to the Cabal. Now the next turn is going to be the decider one way or the other. Obviously the Avengers are winning right now. If they get any source of victory points in the next turn, the Cabal can't catch up even if they have a literally perfect final 2 turns. If the Avengers don't get any victory points next turn, then they're in with a chance. So that's all it comes down to as we go into turn 5 with the Cabal going first. So to get this battle round started, Red Skull activated and he did a sap cube, or sap power, sorry, with the cube. Wait, that's not what it's called. What is it? It does sap power. Cosmic Blast, that's the one for 1 power, but it does have the sap power effect. He did it on Vision and he rolled 4 crits for his attack. So Vision is dead and has dropped the core, which Red Skull has also picked up, so that's on his person now, and the Vision is gone. So Bucky was the first of the Avengers side to activate, and he did Red Fury, didn't even need to do the follow-up assault rifle attack. He did 4 damage to MODOK, which was enough to daze him, so the shock effect is gone because it doesn't matter. MODOK's not getting a turn, and that does mean that this Origin Bomb is pretty much secure. Maybe Hela could reach it, actually. She could actually. Yeah, it could just come. Oh no, but she's slowed though. Oh, that's perfect. It's slow, double checked. You can only move short, regardless of what you would normally move. So she can still move twice, but it would be 2 shorts. She could shake it and then move medium, but that wouldn't be enough. So no, her only goal then is to go for the one guarded by Thor and Loki, and if she gets it, then there's still something to play for. So Hela activated, did not shake off the slow and just moved small forwards to where you can see her. She did a Rain of Hell on Loki, who did use I Am a God to try and buff his defense. It was not enough. He took 2 damage and has been removed. So that also gets rid of a debuff he was spreading. She then used 1 power to convert the Origin Bomb and succeeded. So now the new thing that matters, because Crossbones cannot make it to the middle Origin Bomb, can Thor convert it back? And if he can, that's the game for the Avengers, essentially. And Thor spent 3 power in total to do exactly what he needed to do. 3 down to 2 to throw, thanks to a day unlike any other. Threw Hela back into the car for 1 damage, and then spent 1 power to convert the Origin Bomb and succeeded. So that means Captain America is just going to stay there for his activation. And Crossbones, even with 2 short movements, he's not going to get into claim range quite. So he isn't even going to be able to attempt converting that back, which means we just roll around to the end of the turn, and it puts the Avengers in an untenable situation, I believe. In the Cabal, they will not be able to catch up, but we'll go over that properly in a second. So at the end of this battle round, and at the point we're calling the game, the Avengers have majority again for 3 victory points, putting them on 14, and the Cabal have 5. Now, again, just to be clear, the reason we're not going to bother playing another turn is even if the Cabal have a perfect turn, meaning they get 5 victory points, 3 for majority plus 2 for the core, that does not cover the gap. It would put them at 10, and the Avengers are at 14. So, you could technically table the Avengers, I guess it's possible. Unlikely, but possible. But we're just going to call it there. This was a long one because of the low scoring objectives in play. It was neat. There's been a lot of debate lately about how the core box characters stack up to all the newer characters, like Hela and the other Asgardians and such. It does feel to me like there's a little bit of power creep. It feels like the people from the core box, Captain America, Red Skull, Zemo, even though Zemo is great, but Crossbones, Iron Man, they're all very basic compared to what's come out after that. But Black Widow has set a precedence that we are going to see alternative versions of characters from the core box, because a different version of her is included with the Hawkeye release, whenever that's going to happen now. So down the line we might see a souped up version of some of the core box characters. Not all of them, I would imagine. Some of them are forgettable, but fingers crossed for like a Mjolnir wielding Captain America or something like that. Anyway, not sure when the next battle report of this is going to be. Also pretty much almost guaranteed at the time of recording that the Asgardian and the Guardians of the Galaxy release are not going to get to me for a month, probably. Which is very disappointing. I was looking forward to doing some painting videos on Groot and such. They ain't going to make it. You know how things are right now. Stay safe out there. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, ta for now.